Hello, welcome to my channel, another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and I am going to do Off the Top of Your Head tag, created by the Library Mouse. As of today, she had 82 subscribers, and I was her 83rd, so go check out this new channel. And I was tagged by Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics. And as you can see, there is a little bit of an assistant for this video. Now this tag has 10 prompts. What was your favorite picture book as a child? I honestly don't remember a whole lot of picture books. There was Bartholomew and the Oobleck, about some sort of weird kingdom somewhere where gross stuff falls out of the sky. And that's really all I remember. And that's since the only one I really remember, let's go ahead and say that is a favorite. Number 2, what series did you love as a child? Well, I don't remember reading a whole lot of series as a child. I got into series more in middle grade, I guess after middle grade, sort of early high school, 8th, 9th grade. And somewhere around 10th grade, I read the Chronicles of Amber by Roger Zelazny. It was sort of a science fantasy series of a man who could walk between worlds. Although in the first book, he didn't remember who he was. And I liked that a lot when I was in, 9th, 10th grade, somewhere around there. I read the audiobooks as an adult, and I liked them still then. Someday I will read the sequel to that series, but who knows when. Number 3, the worst book you have read or tried to read. I recently answered some of these questions in a different video, so let me pull out a different book that I hated. Little Brother by Cory Doctorow. I read this part of the science fiction book group, and the person who selected it really was not aware that it was a young adult science fiction book about teenagers caught up in a terrorist act. Now, they were far enough away from the terrorist act in San Francisco that they weren't injured, but the big, bad, naughty, evil government started cracking down on their rights. And these teenagers, they're going to take down this big, bad, naughty, evil, wicked government. Okay, it's teenagers. It's meant for teenagers. It was not meant for me. It was written, shortly, after 9/11, and it was in the Bush era. And Cory Doctorow was very critical of the Bush era, cracking down on terrorism. I kind of agreed with him in some places, but he really didn't get it right. So a bad book, Little Brother by Cory Doctorow. Number 5, your favorite reading or book memory. I remember when used bookstores were plentiful. There was, a couple used bookstores in most cities, and you had your choice of which used bookstore you wanted to go to, and you go to those used bookstores, and there's all these cheap, wonderful paperbacks that you could buy for $1. Death Tour by David Michael. It's a very rare horror novel that he originally bought for $1.05. Unhauled it thinking I could always buy it for $1.05, but now it's $50. I know I've mentioned this book before, but it means don't unhaul your books. But back in those days, you could just browse for these old, wonderful paperbacks, and bookstores had them plentiful and cheap. I really miss those days of used bookstores. A book you loved as a movie. I'm not a big fan of movie adaptations. I think they work best when the movie adaptation really has nothing to do with the book. So I am going to go with Reanimator. That was a very cheesy, very sleazy, unrated horror movie. And you have to check that out because I guess nowadays they've cut out some of the questionable material in that movie. And the questionable material was some of the best material in that movie. Now, it was supposedly based on Herbert West Reanimator, a short story by H.P. Lovecraft. Very, very loosely based on that. Very loosely. Number 6, a book you wish they would make into a movie. There are none. Really, I would just rather read the book than watch the movie. And in most of the times, if I have the choice of reading the book or watching any movie, I will just read the book. Because movies have really gone downhill since I was growing up. Or maybe I've just grown out of the movie. So I'm going to say none to that question. Number 7, a book character that you would like as a friend. Let's go with Sherlock Holmes. He's a pretty good guy. He could get you involved in all sorts of investigations if you went out to, Baker Street and hang out with him with Watson. Interesting things could happen. Other than that, the kind of books that I read, you really don't want to be involved with those characters. I would not want Ignatius Riley as a friend. Not at all. Even though it's a great book. Number 8, a place you want to visit because of a book that you read. Let's go with London. We just came back out of February Holmes is Where the Heart Is. And, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote a lot about London. And I would like to visit that London. Of course, that London is long gone. That was, 1880s, 1890s London. And now we just got the 21st century London. But, I would still like to visit 21st century London. Number 9, a nonfiction book you would recommend. Let's go with The Power Broker by Robert A. Caro. This is about Robert Moses, who essentially created the modern New York City that we all know nowadays. He was very influential on how that city got created. And he was, let's just say, the kind of word that you do not want to use on YouTube unless you want to get it scratched out. Not a nice man. And it is a magnificent biography. It is over 1,200 pages long in small type, incredibly dense, incredibly detailed, but such a fabulous reading experience. Number 10, if you could hang out with an author all day, who would you pick and why? I'm going to say that authors probably don't want to hang out with me all day. So kind of defeats the point. But there are 2 authors who are on immediate buy list for me. That would be Tana French, the Irish mystery crime writer, and William T. Vollmann. He is a author of historical fiction and nonfiction. He also writes some rather questionable books about people visiting prostitutes. Now, Tana French is just, I would presume, just an ordinary woman writing books. I think she has a family, and she's not going to want to hang out with me. Now, William T. Vollmann is an odd guy. As I said, he likes his prostitutes, or he used to like them in his youth. He also really likes firearms. Those are 2 things that, having my druthers, I would not want to hang out with someone who is involved in either of those 2 things. But they're the only 2 modern authors that I really read and buy their books immediately. So it'd be one of those 2. And that's the end of the questions. I'm going to tag MJ at Reading This Life, Nicole at Nicole's Bookish Nook, and David Novak at David Novak Reads Poetry. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.